Gender is a fact. Dave Chappelle, do you know that you have unhealthy relationships with older black comedians? Do you recognize it? It's normal. I got daddy issues. Bo Burnham's got big daddy issues. Real big daddy issues. Bo Burnham's dad gave him a super privileged existence, but he didn't share his values. Oh. If anyone questions that, Bo Burnham's siblings work for his dad, so I'm pretty sure Bo Burnham's the dickhead. And also, Bo Burnham's a dickhead, so. Hey, Bo, here's advice for you. I guarantee that everything you dislike about your father, you absolutely possess and express in your everyday life. It's just in a different form that you can't recognize, but it's exactly the same. Your rejection of any effort to... I was stuck with my father while going through lots of terrible shit. I had to fucking figure out what happened and why and how it affected me and why and how. Dave, you have unhealthy relationships with older black comedians. Or maybe it was just that Gregory guy who, his last name is Gregory. He responded to you, say, gender is a fact. Let me clear it up for all you fucking idiots. Now first of all, one of the problems of racism is generations of black folk that could only express their intelligence and their curiosity and their vigor for understanding through the church. The church is not a good spot for education. We know that. They're not concerned with actual education, they're concerned with church education. One of the reasons the Tuskegee experiments were so fucking bad is because of the black people who are alive now who don't want to take vaccines. That's one of the reasons it was so evil when it happened, because that was always a part of it. It wasn't just those people that got hurt. It was always the generations that would be hurt afterwards and who died overwhelmingly in greater numbers than white people from COVID. Pandemic. Bo Burnham doesn't talk about race in his special. It's a pandemic. It really reflects society, the pandemic. He doesn't mention race once, except another white boy anthem. How many white boy anthems did I find for that music video I fucking threw together? So we've got people who aren't properly educated, and they're intelligent people, and they're articulate people, and they were fucked over, and they have a few blind spots that you can track down to their religious education. So they're not ignorant. You can track those blind spots right back to a fucking church somewhere, or a fucking mosque, or whatever. Chappelle, your trans material, it sounded like you took a fucking sermon from your imam or whatever the fuck. I'm trying to be culturally aware, but I'm not confident what sort of, is there a small town imam? I don't know. It sounded like you took a fucking sermon and you turned it into a stand-up routine that would have been appropriate maybe at your fucking church service. Unless you don't do that shit. Gender as a fact. So before everything, there was a whole fucking universe of stardust, which is the single gayest element on the periodic table of elements. It's right there, right in the queer-ass fucking corner. Stardust, and then there's glitter right next to it. And after there was stardust, there was a whole bunch of other stuff that didn't have any genders. The facts of gender took a long time. First, there were just fucking little fucking specks of things that barely existed in the first place. Ions and prions, bions and flyons. Shifting over to like bacteriums. zygomatic. No, I think that's pregnancy stuff. Prokaryotes. That was one of my favorites. Prokaryote. Fucking little things that didn't have any gender fucking either. They just split up. Or they mostly just split up, right? Like fucking mash themselves into something else. That was the fact of life, man. The fact of life, though, was how could you possibly understand gender because nothing exists to understand words? Maybe we're living in a simulation. Who gives a fuck? If we're living in a simulation, the whole thing's a simulation. It doesn't matter. The parameters of the simulation are the same. Until we can adjust those parameters, it doesn't fucking mean anything. Don't worry about it. I don't know if I'm going to get to Lana here, but Lana, can the scene where he's getting pulled into the mirror be both great and fucking horrible at the same time? Now we're getting into the fucking real scattershot brain fucking. I'm trying to talk to Dave Chappelle about the realities of gender and gender as a fact, and I'm suddenly distracted by the fact that you had a scene in your fucking movie where it's like, I went crazy on the first trilogy, Lana. I went crazy on the first trilogy. I'm in a better spot now, but man, you were really pushing it. You weaponized meaningless suicides at the end, and it was a good idea on paper because it showed how ruthless, but it showed how ruthless you were in showing that. You decided that would fit your themes of all suicide, and maybe just jump off the building and maybe you'll fly this time, and maybe he really is a superpowered being. Tired of the stories, Hollywood. I'm tired of hearing mental illness stories turned into superhero stories. It's irresponsible and it's bad for people. Except for the writers. You get it. There was single-celled shit that didn't have any fucking gender. There was multicellular shit that didn't have any fucking gender. And then there was asexual shit that didn't have any fucking gender. And then critters that barely had any kind of gender at all, except their genetic material was kind of mishmashed into vague shapes that coordinated with one another, coordinated with the task involved in inseminating some sort of egg that was separated somewhere by some amount of distance, possibly none. And here's the point, guys. All you fucking educated black fucks. Gender doesn't work without trans people. What? What? What do you mean? I'm talking about this is the way it's always fucking been since before there were defined genders. Genders are the newest things. The trans shit is the baseline. Watch Jurassic Park, you fucking idiots. In a single sex environment, they spontaneously change the fucking frogs and shit. Frogs metamorphosis? This is the crazy. Man, it's so haphazard, guys. I just hear fucking God fucks. You need to get a handle on your fucking religion. You're not doing any good back there. And you're getting obstinate about it. Gender doesn't exist. It only can function with trans people in the mix because, of course, you ever try to operate one of these fucking meat bot things? Fucking shit. Did you see my back earlier? My back is covered in fucking weird shit that's gonna kill me. And my genes did that. That's a fact. Cancer is a fact. Cancer's a fact. Yeah? You understand the difference? Cancer's a fact. Gender's a nice if you can get one.